accused of marital rape. I got thrown into jail by my wife. She hated me for taking her virginity. It was a gift she had planned for her childhood crush. 2 years in prison smoothed out all my edges. I followed her wishes and signed the divorce papers to make way for her and her childhood crush. But she thought it was just another way for me to hold on. If that's what you think, I'll do it your way. Don't forget, without me, you're lower than a stray dog. After being out of touch with society for 2 years, I lost interest in many things. Even when I saw it was Christina who came to pick me up, there wasn't the old surge of passion in my heart. My assistant quietly took my lightweight black suitcase, first surprised by how light it was, then giving me a sympathetic look. If someone had come to see me these 3 years, my clothes wouldn't even be able to fill a small suitcase. Seeing me standing there in a daze, Christina frowned impatiently. "Aren't you getting in the car? Are you waiting for me to open the door for you? After 3 years, you're still the same." Her familiar tone of disdain made my long-dormant heart ache. I never thought I'd still feel bad because of something she said. The only difference now is I won't show it on my face. If this woman knew, she'd just mock me more, tearing my dignity into pieces. My dignity is already hanging by a thread. I don't want to lose the last bit of decency I have. But in her eyes, my self-respect is nothing more than trash to be tossed aside. In the back seat, another man was sitting there, Christina's longtime love, John. As soon as I sat in the passenger seat, he greeted me warmly. "Tim, long time no see." I nodded at him in the rearview mirror without expression, not knowing what set Christina off. But her anger flared up again. The next second, her phone flew and hit me in the back of the head as I winced in pain. 3 years and you still can't learn to respect people? Weren't rapists the most hated in prison? Prison, a place where all the malice gathers, hates 2 kinds of people the most. Those who harm children and rapists like me, who violate innocent women. I let the bitterness spread inside of me. The past 3 years, the fists that fell on me like raindrops seemed to relive before my eyes. They unleashed captive malice on me, as if washing away their sins, using evil to counter evil. John quickly pulled Christina into his arms, soothing her softly. "Tim has been out of touch with society for 3 years. It's normal for him to be unfamiliar with social interactions. Don't stress over such trivial matters. I'll guide Tim properly. He once loved and cared for you, after all." John's sincere eyes brought tears to Christina's eyes as she wept in his arms for a while. "But he took away what was most precious to me, a gift meant for you. How could he take it away from you?" Christina wished I were dead. Without that drugging, we wouldn't have slept together that night. John, helpless yet sympathetic, kissed Christina's forehead. "It's okay, Christina. Just having you by my side is enough for me. John, I love you." On our first wedding anniversary, I was surprised to receive a text from Christina, inviting me home to celebrate. I was thrilled, thinking our one-sided marriage finally had hope. I always knew Christina didn't love me. If not to change her family's fortune, she wouldn't have married me. That night, she wasn't as cold as before, lavishing warmth from her soul onto me until we were intertwined. But then, she uttered, "John, I love you," and I realized John had announced his new girlfriend that night. Meanwhile, I became the rapist who took her virginity. Christina hated me deeply. "Knowing there's someone else in my heart, why didn't you push me away?" She broke down, throwing everything she could at me. But it was her who initiated it that night. The estate had been transferred to Christina's name the day I got imprisoned. The butler hesitated before walking ahead of me. Even if he wanted to speak with me, he needed to mind Christina's demeanor, as she's now the head of the house. Not long ago, someone got fired by Christina and blacklisted in the industry for not ironing John's clothes on time. "Sir, you've suffered." The old butler showed concern during a moment of solitude when Christina and John went upstairs to change. He slipped an envelope into my hands. I was taken aback, hesitant to accept his money. "Sir, if it weren't for you, my granddaughter would have been doomed. This originally belonged to you. Please take it." It was a credit card I used for the child's medical bills. I clenched it in my hand, ultimately compelled by my plight to put it in my pocket. As long as I'm breathing, Christina will only ever despise me. The old room I used to live in had been turned into a pet room, and she was determined I stay there, sharing the room with her dogs as her form of humiliation. Little did she know, even a pet room was leagues better than where I spent my last 2 years. She looked at me disdainfully, clinging to John. The next room is where John and I stay. You're to stay here tonight without wandering off, without disturbing us. Even if you hear anything, don't get any ideas. Tim, remember your current status. You have no place to argue with me. Her gaze upon me was as if I were a heinous criminal, yet the way she looked at John was full of overflowing affection. Before, this might have torn at me, but now, my heart is as calm as still water. After all, I returned this time intending to finalize the divorce. The first night back at the estate was spent listening to the muffled sounds from Christina and John. They were like two wild animals unleashing the lust buried deep in their souls in the dead of night. Christina, I regret it. I regret giving you up to Tim all these years. I find myself unable to be apart from you more and more. Christina was hit hard by John's words, which were no different from a confession. She had waited too long to hear that. John, me too. Every day with him makes me sick. Luckily, I finally waited for you. This was warning me. They are the most perfect match in this world. And I'm just an intruder barging in. Christina, aren't you afraid of getting Tim angry? How could I be? He wouldn't dare get mad at me. In his heart, I mean more to him than his own life. Just a pathetic person. The next morning, I knocked on the door of the adjacent bedroom. Thanks to my legal background, I prepared the divorce papers overnight. As if to deliberately provoke me, Christina answered the door wrapped in a towel, her body marked with traces of passion. She carried herself with pride and disdain in her eyes. What do you want? I silently averted my gaze and handed over the papers. Here for a divorce. Christina laughed, as if she had heard the most ridiculous joke. You? Divorce me? Her hands crossed over her chest, her tone full of doubt. Tim, what makes you think you can bring this up with me? John wrapped his arms around Christina from behind, and the two behaved intimately in front of me, leaving me out like I was invisible, like two beasts ready to pounce at any moment. For a long while, Christina finally spared some attention for me. Tim, if you want a divorce, sure. Beg me on your knees. I was stunned, not expecting Christina to make such a difficult demand. I didn't understand. With a lover by her side, why was she still making things difficult? Shouldn't she, like me, want to escape this marriage as soon as possible? Seeing my silence, Christina scoffed lightly. I knew this was another one of your tricks. Hearing about me with another man got under your skin, didn't it? If you can't stand it, move out. You're a waste. Who else would take you in once you leave me? She crushed my pride. The two most important things for a man were destroyed by her. Do you really hate me that much? I unknowingly voiced my inner confusion. Christina nodded without hesitation. Yes. Just seeing you makes me feel physically sick. Taking a deep breath, I pulled back the papers and withdrew my last bit of hope for her. Since she showed no kindness, I had no reason to dwell in that tiny fantasy anymore. The law firm I started was down to one partner, thanks to my unexpected imprisonment. It's ironically funny, a lawyer sent to jail by his own wife. Probably the biggest joke in the world. When I finally mentioned divorce out loud to a friend, he laughed with relief. You finally came around. Don't worry, I'll get back everything for you this time, including your reputation. 2 years ago, had I not given up the chance to defend myself, I might not have landed in this sorry state. Yet, having been stripped of love's illusions, I suddenly realized this now. Thanks to the card from the housekeeper, I rented a small one-bedroom place. When Christina realized I wasn't bluffing, an uncharacteristic panic flashed across her face. What do you mean by not coming home? You want the world to know you can't bear me? With a chuckle, I folded the cleaning cloth and finally turned to respond. Isn't it bad luck to have a criminal at home? Don't worry. Your friends will understand. They never liked me anyway. To her friends, I'd always been the jerk who stole someone else's love. John hastily comforted Christina in his arms. Christina, don't get mad at Tim. Maybe he realized his past mistakes and doesn't dare to stay by your side anymore. Since that's the case, let Tim go. We can enjoy our lives together. John gently whispered in Christina's ear, sentence after sentence, like brainwashing. Under his persuasion, Christina changed her mind. After gathering herself, she returned to her usual disdain. You're right, Tim, I agree to the divorce. Give me the papers. We'll sign today and call it quits, sparing me the sight of you making me sick. High and mighty as always, thinking I'd comply like before. Whatever she said, I would do. I turned away expressionless, feeding the papers into the shredder in front of them. Too late. I'm not aiming for a peaceful divorce anymore. Before, I thought of the years we spent together and wanted to leave some dignity. But once Christina trampled on my dignity as a man time and again, I just don't want to hold back anymore. Tim, are you really going to make it public? All we're doing is getting a divorce. Christina furiously called me after receiving the court summons. And why drag John into this? His work is on hold because of you. Work? More like he's afraid his gambling will get exposed. Sure, not a pretty thing. If it was just between us, it wouldn't need a court battle. But what about asset transfers? I was always curious why John came back after years. Turns out he racked up a huge gambling debt overseas. He hurried back to squeeze Christina's wealth. Naturally, I wouldn't tell Christina this. A love-struck woman won't see reason. Whenever I present evidence, she'd trust her senses over facts, especially since she's never been normal. Do you not want to divorce me? Christina hesitantly spoke, assuming this was my way to keep her. You're jealous, aren't you? She exclaimed excitedly. Tim, I knew you could never get over me. Maybe we could start over. I just realized recently I still have some feelings for you too. As long as you don't lay a hand on John, I can try being with you again. It felt like she was throwing a bone to a stray dog, leaving me with her insignificant affections. I smiled, finally realizing how poor my judgment was back then. To have fallen for such a bizarre woman, even costing me my life. Why should I come back just because you say so? You're thinking way too highly of yourself. On the other end, Christina's breath hitched. Even through the phone, I could tell she was furious. Tim, don't be stupid. You'll regret it if you keep this up. My childhood wasn't pleasant. There weren't many colorful memories. The few bits of color I had were mostly because of Christina. After my parents divorced, I became a burden nobody wanted. They each started new families, leaving me in a big empty house with just an old butler. I never had to worry about food or clothes. I didn't have to think about a living or run after money. But apart from that, I had nothing. For as long as I can remember, the person who spent the most time with me was the old butler. Maybe even Christina doesn't remember. She was the one who started our connection. She jumped into my garden out of nowhere, demanding I play hide and seek with her. Why do you always frown like an old man when you're obviously better looking than that prince in our class? Why the sour face? You're embarrassing me. She put her hands on her hips, pulling up the corners of my mouth with indignation. If they knew I have a boyfriend this good-looking, I'd become the queen bee of the class. But she wasn't just that stubborn. At 13, my birthday felt special for the first time. Even missing a tooth, she smashed her piggy bank to buy me a gift. You don't have parents, I don't have teeth, we're the same. Happy birthday, brother. That kind of happiness vanished when she moved away. When I heard about her again, it was news that her family was nearing bankruptcy. I slowly started doing some odd jobs, working as a rookie at the firm. I felt a new sense of purpose, as if everything was coming together. Even my sleep improved. Except for dealing with divorce negotiations once in a while, I was fully immersed in my own life with no time for anything else. The only problem was Christina repeatedly refusing to engage. To resolve the divorce quickly, I decided to meet Christina. For some reason, Christina just didn't want a divorce. It's like a part of her resisted it instinctively. She'd been busier lately. First, some deals fell through for no reason. Then her company's finances had issues. After some investigation, it turned out someone had embezzled funds. She was physically and mentally exhausted, and she also had to deal with John. He'd been urging her to finalize the divorce lately. Christina, we've been apart for so long. I want to start our life together. During those times, Christina felt completely drained. That's why when I asked to meet, she agreed without hesitation. Felt like she could finally catch her breath. Tim, we don't have to take it this far. Just a month apart, and Christina looked so worn out. I quietly sipped my coffee. Christina, you know I never forced you, right? Her face visibly changed, her breath quickening as she recalled that night. She knew I never forced her. Even after marrying, she didn't want to live with me, and I respected her wish, promising to wait. So what, Tim? You said you'd always obey me when we got married. Christina was still stubborn, and I sighed, having heard about her recent troubles. I pulled out some papers I prepared earlier and slid them across the table. The person embezzling funds is right here. If you want to save your company, work with me to finalize this divorce, and I'll help you. Stunned, Christina stared at the documents, unable to find any flaw. This was real. John had been using her from the start. Christina gradually found it hard to breathe and suddenly clutched her stomach in pain. Before I could catch her, she collapsed to the ground. Christina was shocked. The doctor nodded. Yes, Miss Christina, the test results confirm you're pregnant. Impossible. She'd taken precautions. She quickly pulled out a bottle of pills from her bag. The doctor sniffed them and returned them with a frown. These are just vitamins, Miss Christina, not contraceptives. Ever since the doctor left, Christina remained silent for about half an hour. Tim, do you find me ridiculous now? Betrayed by my lover, and now pregnant at the worst time? Ignoring her self-mockery, I thought about redecorating. Once I had the divorce papers, it was time to get a new home. New beginnings require a new place. I'd been waiting outside the room until John showed up. Tim, are you happy now? John grabbed my hand tightly, to the point where I could feel my flesh twisting. I just glanced at him calmly. Don't talk to me like a drama queen. You're the side guy, but you're still a guy. John was stunned. The first time he heard me talk to him like that, it was a shock. Before, for Christina's sake, I pretty much put up with whatever. Are you provoking me? You think this will make Christina come back? Don't forget, she was the one who sent you in back then. John snarled in my ear. I calmly pushed his hand off my shoulder. Just a weakling relying on women. You're not worth it. Turning around, I saw Christina slumped against the door, looking fragile. Tim, please don't leave, she pleaded. Hearing that, John's face turned green. Christina, I'll pretend you're not in your right mind. We're having a baby, remember? We need to get back and rest so our baby doesn't get tired. Christina shook off the man's support and stumbled towards me, hopeful. Tim, I know you still care about me. Otherwise, you wouldn't have waited outside for so long, right? Her familiar way of talking made me realize she recalled some past memories. I glanced at her hand and noticed the crystal beads she'd given me for my 13th birthday. Tears streamed down her face. I just realized you're the brother from my childhood. I'm sorry, Tim. I didn't mean to forget you. Can you give Christina another chance? I've realized how wrong I was. I want us to be together like we used to be. She cried, her tears landing on my hand, a thing that would have moved me in the past. I used to dream of the day she'd shed a tear for me. Back then, it would have been my most treasured prize. But not anymore. With a sigh, I couldn't bear to see her so vulnerable. Regardless of who was in the room, I would have waited for the family to arrive. Everyone needs help at some point. Gently, I answered her questions and helped her back to the hospital room. Christina, I cherish our childhood memories, but I'm not waiting for you anymore. She grasped my wrist tightly, refusing to let go. But you said you'd love me forever. She insisted, her eyes red. Aren't you bothered by the baby? I'll get rid of it. I just want to be with you. Seeing her refusal to face reality, I disentangled my hand. It's not possible, Christina. I'm a man with dignity. John is eager to marry Christina for another reason. Before marriage, I had Christina sign a prenup listing all my assets and properties. Should anything happen to me, it automatically transfers to Christina. This was a huge temptation for John, strapped with debts. Once married, all that becomes joint property, clearing his gambling debts. Christina, devastated, Never imagined betrayal from someone she loved. Caught cheating, falsely accused of a crime in marriage. All these revelations crushed her. Then there are those misappropriated funds and no way to fix it. She's trapped, endlessly regretting her poor judgment. John still hadn't realized his defeat and often flaunted in front of me. Tim, Christina misspoke that day. She's unaware of her words. Don't let her words rekindle your feelings. You'll always be her lapdog, he taunted, boasting as if relying on a woman was something to be proud of. I chuckled silently. Mr. John, aren't you worried Christina might hear that and turn against you? After all, she's your only support now. John snickered. She loves me. She'll forgive whatever I do. I was wise to poke holes in those condoms. They say a child keeps a woman tied. I casually glanced behind him. He followed my gaze, finding Christina biting her lip, trembling in anger. She slapped him hard. You scumbag. Get out, she yelled. John was dumbfounded, trying his old tricks to smooth things over, but Christina wasn't buying it. She took deep breaths and pulled out the divorce papers. I've signed. There's a record of my company finances in there too. I only have one condition. She paused, closed her eyes in pain, and continued. Put him in for life. The court sentenced John to 35 years. Alongside my evidence, the police uncovered his foreign crimes, including manslaughter. With the verdict, my reputation was restored. Christina has lost a lot of weight recently. Hesitant, she approached me after glancing several times. I terminated the pregnancy, she admitted. I nodded knowingly. Tim, I apologize for all my past mistakes, she said seriously. I pondered a while, looked up at the large banyan tree, and exhaled deeply. I won't forgive you, Christina. Her voice broke with tears. She couldn't hold back and collapsed into my arms. I stood stiffly, unsure whether I should push her away. Pushing after a miscarriage, is that a risk I need to worry about too? Tim, I'm truly sorry. Can't you wait for me? You've waited so long. Why give up now? Why give up when I finally understand my feelings? Why? Her repeated why left me stunned. Why though? I've thought about it too. If I hadn't gotten you into jail, would there have been a chance to fix everything? We actually might have had a shot, right? She asked, her voice breaking, eyes on the verge of tears. If there was no prison, maybe I'd have kept waiting. But her heart would always hold another man. The result wouldn't change. I shook my head with a smile. Kids who mess up always wish they hadn't. But no one knows if the next thing they'll do will be a mistake. Nobody can predict when they'll make a mistake. Besides, nothing that happens is really a mistake. It's just about the timing. Back then, you didn't love me. I gently pushed the woman away from me. Now you're going through tough times. You need someone, so you keep looking for me. You're just looking for someone to help solve your problems. Not because you truly need me. Christina, we're done here. My life is back on track. The old butler heard about my new house and brought his granddaughter over to warm it up. By the end of dinner, he still insisted on staying to take care of me. Sir, I watched you grow up. Why are you pushing me away just because I'm old now? Besides, I've saved enough. I don't even need your salary. I couldn't help but laugh and gave in to the old man. Luckily, I am alone. Having someone's company feels better. But this time, I invited them to stay not as an employer but as family. I knew the old butler only had his little granddaughter left. Each night, seeing that warm lamp in the living room, my long cold heart slowly melted. I even felt like I was raising a kid. Helping the old butler with her homework each night became the most relaxing moment of my day. Colleagues at the firm agreed to let me return as a partner, letting me lead them to greater heights. I heard about Christina again when I took the legal team to handle a client company's issues. From their mouths, I found out her company went bankrupt. Turns out John did more than just embezzle funds. To better control Christina in the future, he had people buy scattered and small shares to hold a percentage more than Christina, aiming to control the company. But he got arrested before he could act, and those plans collapsed. With many partners leaving, the company eventually fell apart. Uncle, why is that lady always staring at you? It feels weird. Anna whispered into my ear, her arms around my neck. I followed her pointing finger. Christina looked gaunt, as if she lost her shape. My eyes lingered just a second before I turned back, lifting the little girl in my arms. The lady's looking at Anna because you're so cute. Wave her goodbye, let's head home. Anna obediently nodded, waving her tiny hand. Uncle, she waved back. Does that mean I get ice cream tonight? I sigh, placing her in the car seat, playfully tapping her nose. The car roared to life, heading down a sunset-filled road.